Hello, my name is Kyle Packer, and I'm a senior planner for the town of Oro Valley and host of this informational community outreach video. Thank you for tuning into the very first step of the public outreach process for a property owner's new proposal for a rezoning and conditional use permit for a 4.7-acre property located at the northeast corner of Suffolk Drive and Oracle Road. My goal is to provide you with information regarding upcoming public outreach opportunities, the applicant's proposal, and the next steps. The number one objective is to invite you to participate. The town requires all rezoning and conditional use permit applicants to engage in community outreach at the front end of the process, as it's important to hear your comments and questions early. Your participation absolutely matters. Community input shapes every rezoning and conditional use permit application in Oro Valley. Please help us spread the word about this video and the proposal. Notices have been mailed to neighbors, and the site has been posted with yellow signs in multiple locations. If you weren't notified and wish to be in the future, please send a request with your name and address to ask@orovalleyaz.gov. This video is the first step in the process and is intended to help prepare you for the upcoming neighborhood meeting. Later in this video, I'll map out what the anticipated project timeline looks like. It's also important to establish that this request is primarily to develop private property. All property owners have the right to request review of their development proposals. This is not the town's proposal. It is the property owners. It is their charge to create, justify, and seek town council consideration and approval of their proposal. Furthermore, when the town receives a development request, we are required by law to provide due process. As of today, we do not have a formal submittal from the property owner, but we do anticipate one in the near future. A pre-application concept for the site has been provided, and you'll hear more about that directly from the property owner's representative, Ms. Carrie Sylvan, later in this video. Here are the steps we're going to follow. First, I'll walk through the public participation process and the anticipated timeline for the project. Second, I'll briefly discuss the applicant's proposal and provide key background information about the property and the town's review criteria. Third, I'll introduce Ms. Sylvan, who's representing the property owner. She'll walk us all through the what and why of the property owner's site proposal. Additional information has been posted on www.ovprojects.com, and it will be continually updated as the town receives a formal application and additional information. Let's get started. A neighborhood meeting will be held on March 12th at 6 p.m. in the town's council chambers at Town Hall. You can participate in the meeting either in person or online via Zoom. Please visit ovprojects.com for instructions on participating online. The purpose of the meeting will be to have the applicant introduce their project, hear from you, and address any questions, comments, or concerns you may have. You can always provide those via email at any point by sending them to ask@orovalleyaz.gov. Throughout this process, there are a number of additional opportunities for public input. Following a formal submittal, staff will work with the applicant on achieving code compliance. Following code compliance, a second neighborhood meeting will be held. The application requires consideration by the Planning and Zoning Commission at a public hearing. They'll vote to provide a formal recommendation to Town Council. The project will then require consideration by Town Council. The focus of discussion at upcoming meetings should be on design, not the uses, which are already permitted by the zoning code. I'd like to orient everyone with respect to the subject property. The property is approximately 4.7 acres located at the northeast corner of Suffolk Drive and Oracle Road, outlined here in blue, opposite Smashburger and Sprouts for context. The applicant's proposal is to rezone the 4.7-acre parcel to enable the development of a family-oriented indoor recreation center approximately 25,000 square feet in size. The building would be 25 feet tall, with ingress and egress on both Oracle and Suffolk. Notably for residential neighbors, the eastern buffer yard is a 5-foot masonry wall and a 15-foot vegetated buffer yard. And the applicant will provide additional detail during her presentation. Currently, the property is zoned RS, or Residential Service District. This zoning allows 25 feet of height and uses such as offices, senior care, apartments, townhomes, and more. The applicant is proposing to rezone to CN, or neighborhood commercial. The zoning is very similar, allowing the same 25 feet of height as well as offices and general retail, but additionally permits private fitness centers and restaurants, the types of uses the applicant is seeking. The CN zoning the applicant is seeking requires commercial uses larger than 5,000 square feet to obtain a conditional use permit. As the proposed business is approximately 25,000 square feet total, the proposed use would need to meet the CUP criteria at the bottom left of this slide to meet code. This requires that the proposal causes no damage or nuisance from noise, smoke, odor, dust, vibration, or illumination, no hazard from explosion, contamination, fire, or flood, and no unusual traffic volume or character. Additionally, the use will need to be compatible with the surrounding area and provide sufficient mitigation measures. As a resident or neighbor, you may wish to consider what types of mitigation measures you would request from the developer that would make you accepting or more accepting of the project. This application will be reviewed for conformance with the Your Voice, Our Future General Plan and Town of Oro Valley Zoning Code, with specific emphasis on compatibility with surrounding properties, protection of view sheds, and traffic and parking. Now, I'd like to turn it over to Ms. Sylvan for her presentation.
So thank you, Kyle. I want to introduce Farishta Kubillo first. Farishta and her husband are raising children in the region and have recently purchased this property, hoping to add a completely indoor play space for kids of all ages with a complimentary restaurant with no drive-through and retail space. KTR is a concept already built in Phoenix that they want to bring to Oro Valley, and I want her to talk a little bit about the KTR concept. Go ahead, Farishta.
Hi, my name is Farishta Kubillo. I am the principal of Laydar Developments, which was inspired by my daughters, Layla and Dadia. We're excited to present this new project that is family-friendly and community-based for individuals of all abilities. With our two girls, my husband and I were always looking for fun physical activities to do as a family. Because Tucson is limited to the number of activities and places kids can engage in, we frequently travel to Phoenix to have fun, diverting resources away from our own community. KTR is a facility we frequently visit. It is a large action sports indoor playground where toddlers to teenagers can discover their inner athlete in a safe, structured environment through skateboarding, scootering, BMX, parkour, or tumbling. Classes are also provided to help individuals learn, grow, and thrive in a target area. We purchased this property in Oro Valley with the intent to bring KTR to Tucson as a franchisee where the children in our community can benefit from what KTR offers. There are 6 KTR locations in the Phoenix area, each about 30,000 square feet or larger. Our overall project includes a 25,000 square feet KTR, along with the space for a restaurant and other uses like a cafe shop, gelato shop, and others. KTR in Tucson will be designed to create the activity spaces along with an indoor mezzanine overlooking the entire facility. You can watch your child take skateboarding lessons, jump on the trampoline, or go through the ninja obstacle course while you enjoy a slushie. It's an opportunity to get kids off the screen, for families to host events such as birthday parties, for kids to build friendships, create memories, and increase physical and mental health. For the safety of families, we will also have extra security cameras inside and outside of the facilities, as well as enhanced collaboration with law enforcement. This project serves as a place where young families with young children to grandparents with grandchildren can gather and enjoy year-round. We are aware of the concerns of immediate neighbors related to the noise level. Our team has worked diligently on the design to mitigate these issues, as you will hear from Carrie.
Thank you. I'm going to now go a little bit through the project and the property. And I know staff has already covered some of this at the beginning of this video, but this is the location, 4.7 acres. It's currently vacant and never been developed. It is currently zoned RS, which is residential service. Just for some context, it's right adjacent to Oracle and Suffok, where there is also a traffic light. There's higher intensity commercial uses to the west, and then Oracle Road, and then really transitioning as we transition to the east and the single family residential, there's less intense, mainly indoor type development right along Oracle Road on the east side. We believe this use as proposed fits within that transition area in large part because of its indoor nature. and very similar to the types of lower intensity uses that are in the RS zone further to the north and to the south. So to bring this use into the town, it does need to be rezoned to CN, which is the neighborhood commercial. It's the next zone up from RS for what's called private recreation use. In this particular instance, that private recreation use will be entirely indoors. We're also proposing, as Farishta mentioned, a restaurant with no drive-through and some retail and service area space. CN does require a courtyard or plaza area be designed into the project, and we've worked closely with staff and are proposing that area internal to the site so that it's surrounded by buildings which will, on all sides except for the west, that will also act as a noise barrier as needed. CN also limits the square footage of buildings to 5,000 square feet. And as we said, the KTR portion of the building will be 25,000 square feet. We can get relief of that through the conditional use permit. So this will be a simultaneous rezoning to CN as well as a conditional use permit for the size of the building. Want to point out a few elements of this plan while I'm on this slide. The building height is the maximum 25 feet, which is not an increase from the RS zoning. RS zoning is also a 25-foot height limit. KTR is 25 feet. It's in large part because of, as you saw, those activities that take place inside. So it's the equivalent of 2-level, and there's also a 5,000 square foot mezzanine space inside around the edge, as Farishta mentioned, so that you can watch your kids or your grandkids and have a slushie or whatever else you want to be having up there. We're carrying that 25-foot height through the retail and restaurant area to provide opportunity for second floor retail space and to maximize that sound barrier I talked about for the outdoor plaza and relief area. And the Oracle, it will also help to block the Oracle Road noise. There will be an elevator as well next to the restaurant to get on into the second story. Couple other things I want to mention: the setback on the east, which is where we are transitioning to our neighbors, our residential neighbors. The building is set back 100 feet from our east property line. There is also a 20-foot alley separating the two property lines, our east property line and the nearest adjacent residential neighbor's west property line. So there's a minimum of 120 feet in that area. And then the residential uses, the homes are set back an additional amount, which varies as you go up and down our property line. Landscaping and screening, starting on the east, where again our residential neighbors are, there's the existing alley I just touched on. And then at our property line for the first 15 feet will be a landscape border. And that's all going to be on what's going to look like the side of the alley, but it's on our property. And then there will be a 5-foot masonry wall along with the 100-foot setback, building setback. On the north end, where we're adjacent to childcare and an office use, we have 15 feet of landscape border. And along the south and the west, adjacent to Oracle and Suffok, there's a 30-foot landscape border and a 3.5-foot screen wall to screen the parking areas. Access to the project, there'll be 2 access points, one along Oracle Road, as well as one on Suffok, which is currently aligned with the driveway to the south, that office complex. We will be submitting a traffic impact analysis as part of our application, which will happen after the neighborhood meeting, analyzing the amount of traffic that we're adding in this area and the kinds of improvements that need to be made to ensure that we have safe ingress and egress into the site and based on the existing traffic that's in the area. Our parking on the site exceeds the minimum. Our required minimum is 227 parking spaces. We are providing 244 spaces. The loading zone, this is not a heavy loading and unloading like a grocery store or other type use, but we have a loading space created right up against the building on the east and again pulled away from our neighbors. And you can see the 2 areas that we've designated for trash pickup. that's both convenient for our tenants and uses to carry the trash out as well as for the trucks to pick up. I do want to point out that in Oro Valley, our trash pickup, our trash areas are required to be screened by a 6-foot tall masonry wall. There are a lot of uses up and down Oracle in this area that were developed in the county and annexed into the town and don't have that requirement. But we will be complying with that requirement, which also helps with the noise and any noise and screening as well. My next slide is a summary pretty much of what I just went over in written form. It was more fun to explain it on the plan. So we're rezoning again from RS to CN with a conditional use permit. Building height is still the 25 feet. Again, the landscaping and screening, the parking, and the 2 driveways for the access points. My next few slides, although we're not required as part of the rezoning or the conditional use permit to show architecture, Farishta and our team know this is important to the community and to the neighbors. So we've actually even in part delayed coming forward with this project until we had all of that taken care of. So we've worked hard to design the building to both meet Oro Valley's architectural standards, blend in with the adjacent buildings, and provide an inviting, architecturally pleasing project. My next 2 slides are from vantage points that unless you are hovering in a hot air balloon, you will not be able to see the buildings from these points, but we thought it was a good idea to show because it gives you a good sense of the overall project. This is if you're hovering above the corner of Oracle and Suffok, looking to the northeast. And you can see the different facades and the fact that there's architecture all the way around. And you can see that courtyard area peeking through the corner of the building as well. This is as if you're kitty corner. So this is the corner of Suffok and Oracle. So you're now back on the northeast corner of the property looking to the southwest. And again, this is technically the back of the building, but architectural elements come across. This is the loading area, most of our parking, and you can see the significant setback as well. This is the building as if you're on Oracle Road and pretending like there's no cars, no striping on Oracle Road, and you are at a dead stop on Oracle Road looking at the building. So possibly not realistic, but there it is. So you can see the brickwork we've incorporated in large part to try and capture some of the elements from adjacent uses. There's an opportunity for public art and murals. You can see in that area we will be complying with Oro Valley's public art program. A lot of times in Oro Valley, you see the public art that's been added after the construction has occurred. What we're hoping is to really incorporate it into the architecture in this project, and are excited to be able to do that. This is the east facade, which is on the what I would call the back side of the building. You can see there's a breezeway to get into the courtyard, but for the most part, the building is actually blocking any noise issues at any of the entrances to any of the tenants, as well as the courtyard area, and even able to block some of the Oracle Road traffic noise as well. You can see the architectural elements carried forward. I do want to point out we have put on here an element which is sort of a relief balcony. This is the mezzanine area where the daytime birthday parties could be, and this provides some windows for people to look out at the mountains as well as maybe step outside to get a breath of fresh air. This is the south-facing facade onto Suffok. As you can see, we've added some additional brickwork over here to complement the office building to the south of Suffok, so that it's not, and again, you can see the architecture carrying around, and it's not a stagnant building on this side either. The next 3 slides, what we are showing is really the courtyard area. So you can see the courtyard space that opens to Oracle Road. You can see that it's enclosed by the building area, space for people to sit, for kids to play, and really to transition from that KTR space to maybe eating or doing a little bit of shopping, and just kind of a general gathering space for folks. And the retail spaces in the restaurant would be accessed to from this internal courtyard. And with that, I want to thank you and thanks to town staff for the opportunity to present this in video format. The project team is really looking forward to our neighborhood meeting in March. And here's our contact information as well. If there are any questions ahead of the meeting, if you want to contact us directly, you can also always contact staff.
Thank you, Ms. Sylvan. I'd like to conclude by reiterating how to make your voice heard over the course of this process. The town invites all of you to attend the neighborhood meeting on March 12th at Town Hall or online. Again, this is just the first step of the public participation process. Additional information has been posted on ovprojects.com and will be continually updated as the town receives a formal application and additional information. Please use ask@orovalleyaz.gov and ovprojects.com throughout this process to stay informed. We'll continue to notify property owners who received a yellow postcard for this meeting and post the property with yellow signs for upcoming events. If you did not receive a postcard and wish to, please reach out via ask@orovalleyaz.gov and provide your name and address, and we'll ensure that you're notified next time. Again, I'd like to reiterate, it's important to hear your comments and questions early and often. The extent of community participation is what makes Oro Valley a special place. Community input has shaped every rezoning and conditional use permit application in Oro Valley, just as it will on this project. Stay in the know by checking into ovprojects.com, and we look forward to you joining us at the neighborhood meeting on March 12th. Thank you.